Wichita remembering Josephine Brown, the first African-American woman to serve on the Wichita School Board. And while she made an impact in the community, we're also hearing about her special impact on our family. New at 9 tonight, photojournalist Bert Harry shares Brown's story of change-making.
We're all a great reflection of the values and the character and the integrity that she had.
Character and integrity lived within Josephine Brown.
Jo Brown and I had a kind of a kindred spirit. So, she was the first African-American woman board member for the Wichita Public Schools, and I was the first woman African-American female superintendent of the school district. So we kind of had a kindred spirit. And I'll never forget, the times that she would pull me to the side and talk to me about what it means to be the first.
Brown was elected to the Wichita School Board in 1971. Her daughter, Sheila Kennard,
I like this picture a lot,
remembers her mother's mission to make a difference.
Back in the day, black folks were not allowed to do a lot of different things, go a lot of different places, eat in a lot of different restaurants. We busted down all those doors. And her campaign slogan that she used when she ran for the school board was "Build a Better Town with Jo Brown."
Local historian Jared Norwood says part of being better meant helping to integrate Wichita schools.
She was on the board, got directly involved, in fact, used some of her own money to go to D.C. to talk about why we should do it in the way that she was suggesting. Long story short, they implemented cross-busing as a mandate to achieve racial balance.
But that was one of her many talents.
The other aspect is she was musically inclined, and she determined that it was a reason to save the history of the Negro spiritual. And we began to implement it in our music in terms of creating a choir and have storytelling along with the song.
ARISE, an acronym for African American Renewing Interest in Spirituals Ensemble.
It was an idea that she made come to fruition. And it's now 37 years. So not only was it her idea, but now it's spread through the whole community and abroad.
From education to music to Trailblazer.
Unbelievable the amount of organizations that she was in, not only card holding, but active participating, a change maker, a mover and a shaker. Not taking no stuff from nobody.
Brown preceded in death by her husband, Dr. Val Brown, Sr., another stalwart in the African-American community.